Welcome back to the channel. Caleb Comstock here, doing a little shed hunting here on February 9th in Nebraska. But in today's video, we're actually going to be talking about how to scout flat ground, river ground. I have two properties that I can hunt here that are both along the riverbank, and so we're going to talk about some things that I've learned over the years of hunting this and some scouting tips that has led me to be successful, as well as just kind of talking about how much different it is than hunting hill ground, which I also have permission to hunt here. So we're going to talk about a few tips as we dive into this video. I'd say my most important first tip would be to scout your access into a stand or a location. Like I said, I hunt along the river, so that allows for boat access, which is absolutely killer for me. When the crops are still in, I can just take the boat down the river, hop up on the bank, and get in my tree stand. So that's huge. Understanding your access and scouting out your access. How are you going to get to the stand or this location? You might have the top of the line spot, but if you can't get there, that spot's kind of pointless. So not only do I scout for deer sign, I'm also scouting for how can I get into that stand easily without busting any deer, getting there quickly and quietly and clean. So scouting for your access to get in a stand is a huge thing that will lead you to be successful in the woods. Another tip that I use to help me hunt this flat ground is understanding how my deer travel. And what I mean by that is, right now the snow's all melted and I'm in here. It's all wet, it's muddy, but this is showing me the trails and which trails the deer are really using, as opposed to the ones that are more lightly used. And obviously that will change a little bit just because of the time of year, but getting your boots on the ground and really scouting it out, seeing which trails they're taking, because when we're hunting flat ground, it's not as easy to see based off topography what the trail deer are going to do, just because it's so flat. I mean, they can go anywhere. So getting your boots on the ground and really scouting it out, checking out the trails, seeing what the deer are exactly doing at all times of year. I mean, right now season's over, it's late season, so I'm taking this knowledge I'm gaining today into putting my plan next year on what trails are more heavily used than others. And then when I get some tree stands in here, I'm probably going to come in here and hang a stand, so I just found a really good spot. The third scouting tip I want to talk about today is understanding the layout of the land, finding those travel corridors and those natural pinches. So on flat ground, when you're reading a topography map, you're obviously not going to see much of a change in the elevation and terrain, which kind of can make finding those pinches a little more difficult than if I was hunting my hills property. On my hills property, I can go to Onyx and pull up the map and switch this 3D mode and really see where that topography change is that's really pinching the deer down. But if I'm hunting flat ground, I don't have that opportunity because everything's flat. So that's where scouting comes huge when it comes to figuring that out. A lot of the pinches that I'm hunting are just like where there's extremely thick stuff, and then there's like a slight opening, and 9 times out of 10 the deer aren't going to go through that thick stuff. They're going to take that opening, which is the pinch that takes them straight through my tree stand. Also fence line pinches. I got one spot, it's right on the edge of the fence line. It pinches the deer off when they come up out of the cornfield or out of the bottom of the corn. It's like a 25-yard shot to the spot where they're pinching down at. So finding your natural pinches, your natural travel corridors. Like I said, I'm hunting by a river. That's always a natural travel corridor where deer are going to travel. Same with any sort of creek. So getting your boots on the ground and looking for those natural pinches, they're in the timber, the natural travel corridors, any things like that are huge tips that will help you when it comes to hunting flat ground. The fourth tip I want to talk about when it comes to hunting flat ground is, I mean, it's a tip for, it don't matter what ground you're hunting, you're going to want to find their food source. Maybe you don't have egg on your field, on your property. Maybe there's not much egg around. Maybe there's no acorns. You gotta go in and find out What's their browse? What are they browsing on? Where's their browse pressure at? Things like that are all extremely important when it comes to hunting flat ground. I do have egg on my field. I also have learned over the years that when my property is in corn, it's way better off than when it's in beans, especially late season. So I know that if, you know, maybe I don't get it done in October or November, I know come December the deer are going to be in there on that cut cornfield. And I've actually shot 2 deer out of the same tree on the same day when it was cornfield 2 years apart. So understanding that main food source for the deer is a huge part of just hunting in general, especially hunting on flat ground. The final tip I want to talk about, tip number 5, when it comes to when I scout flat ground, I'm doing this year round. I am finding the sign. And what I mean by that is I am looking for fresh sign, whether that be droppings, whether it be scrapes, rubs, just trails that are beat down. So I'm looking for signs like that. I'm also looking for historical signs. So old beds, old scrapes, old rubs. Deer are creatures of habit, so what they're doing one year, there's a good chance they're probably going to repeat that the following year. So if you can find a good, solid rub line that's historical, chances are they're going to hit it again. I got the river property, I've hunted it for years, and every single year there's one tree that the deer scrape. So I keep a camera on that tree pretty much year round, just because I know that's a natural historical place for them. And they're probably going to come back to it, and that's why I've gotten a lot of really solid buck pictures off of that historical scrape. So understanding your sign, getting in there, getting your boots on the ground, and putting all that together to create a solid game plan for next year. Hopefully that will lead you to be successful coming this 2024 deer season.